Hello and welcome back to Cartitas Math. So this is video number 10 in the science option preparation video series. Today's video we're looking at solving second degree equations with the quadratic formula. So this is probably the, I would say, the most foolproof method of solving any second degree equation. Oops, look at this one here. I forgot my equals 0, so I'll just put that in. So when using the quadratic formula, what we need to remember is the format of our second degree equation. So in order to use it, it has to be in this format. It has to look like ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. It has to look like that. It can't look like anything else. There can't be a number here on the right. It also can't look like the other version that we saw briefly in the other video that looked like this. It cannot look like this. If it does look like this, then you would have to FOIL this. So you'd have to multiply your brackets, and you'd have to multiply in your a and then add in your k. So it would need to look like this. So I'll just erase that. We don't want this. Okay, so I will just start off by plopping the formula in here. So we're going to get our nice little sticker. And I actually don't need this at all since the sticker has everything. So this is our formula. It looks very complicated. It really is just a bunch of steps. All you have to do is correctly identify your A, your B, and your C. If you do that correctly, then the rest is just a bunch of punching calculator buttons. So I'll give myself a little bit more space here, and we'll do this first one together. So here, our A is 1. It's not written, but it is there. So we'll just put that in. Our A is 1. Our B is 5. And our C is negative 24. It is a negative number. Okay, so now we can put in our formula. So we have negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C, all divided by 2 times A. It's big. And we're just going to put in each number one at a time. So we've got negative 5 plus minus the square root of 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 24. And then on the denominator, we have 2 times 1. And so now where you should start, so you really just need to do BEDMAS with this, but you want to start right under here, because what happens is that since this is where our square root is, if this number under here ends up being a negative, then you will have no solution because you can't take the square root of a negative number. So this is how you figure out if you even have a solution, is if you have a number under here, a positive number, a negative number, or potentially a 0. So now we'll just recopy this, plus minus, and then we just have to solve this part. So I'm going to pull up my calculator. So we've got 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 24. So we have that number is 121. So here we have the square root of 121. So you can write that in, or you could just take the square root directly from here. And we get 11. So I'm actually just going to erase the square root of 121 and put in the 11. Okay, so now at this point, we can separate this off. So now we have this plus minus thing that we need to deal with. So this is the same thing that we've been doing with the isolating method, that when you take a square root, you have to consider both the positive and the negative answers of that square root. So here we took the square root of 121. That answer could be positive 11. It could also be negative 11. So that's what this plus minus does here. That's why it's there in front of the square root sign, because it's accounting for both of those options. So at this point, your solution kind of splits off into two situations. Is you have minus 5 plus 11 over 2, and you have minus 5 minus 11 over 2. So both of those become potential solutions. So I'm actually just going to drag this over here because I need to, ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. I need way more space. So now we have minus 5 plus 11. That gives us 6. Divide that by 2. Here our answer is 3. And on the other side, we have negative 5 minus 11. That gives us negative 16. Divide by 2, we have negative 8. And if you had seen at the beginning for our formula, all of this is x equals 2. So x equals 2, x equals 2. So that's what this is everywhere. So these are our solutions. X equals 3, x equals negative 8. And if you had factored this instead and done the factoring method, you would find the exact same solution at the end. You would get x equals 3 and x equals negative 8. Okay, so now we will do this one over here. So we're doing the same thing. We have to identify our A, our B, and our C. So again, here A is 1. In this case, B is also 1. And C is 5. So we've got A, B, C. And we just copy our formula the same way. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And you'll find that once you do this about 10 times, you're going to start to remember the formula just off the top of your head. And when you keep doing them over and over again, you can't forget it even if you tried. Okay, so now we're going to take this square root situation. So we have 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5. And at this point, we're getting the square root of negative 19. And that's a problem. So because we have the square root of negative 19, it means that we can't solve this one. This actually has no solutions. And that would be your answer. And you can just kind of point over to the negative 19 and say, well, this is why we can't solve this. And we will do another one together. Let's see. This is a good one here. Number 77. So let me drop that sticker back in here. So here A is 2, B is negative 3, and C is negative 25. Oh, actually, what did I do wrong here? I'm jumping ahead, everyone. Look at this. We have a negative 5 on this side, and that's not okay. We can't leave that right-hand side with a number. We need to move it over. So before I can do anything here, I actually have to add 5 on both sides. So we have 2p squared minus 3p minus 20 equals 0. So now that we have that equals 0, we can actually go in and start our quadratic formula. So a is 2, b is negative 3, and c is negative 20. So x equals, and I'll just write it again, to model what a good answer looks like. You should be writing it every time. So now we have negative b, and in this case our b is negative 3. So here we have negative 3, which will simplify to a positive number. I'm just showing all my steps. So here we have negative 3 squared, which will also simplify to a positive number afterwards. 4 times 2 times negative 20, all over 2 times 2. So we've got a lot going on here. So this negative 3, that's going to become positive 3 plus or minus the square root of, so here we have 9. So, and we could show all the steps, right? We can do negative 3 squared, that will give us 9, minus 4 times 2 times negative 20. And that's going to give us 169. Over, and then 2 times 2, that's 4. So now I'm just going to finish this off up here. So at this point, it's going to split off into 2 options. So we're going to have x equals 3 plus, and now the square root of 169 is 13. So plus 13 over 4, or x is going to equal 3 minus the square root of 13 over 4. So we have to solve each of those cases. So plus 13 over 4, this is going to give us 4. And 3 minus 13 over 4, that's going to give us negative 2.5. Or if you wanted to keep that as a fraction, you could leave it as negative 5 over 2. So that would be your solution. The x equals 4, and the x equals negative 2.5. Okay, that is all there really is to it for solving with the quadratic formula. It really is just a practice of making sure that you're putting things in the right places and practicing with those negative numbers. So all the cases where you have A's, B's, or C's that are negative and seeing what happens in all of those cases, the more you practice, the better you will get at it. Okay, so that is it for this video. With this video, we've finished off the second unit of second degree equations. So I will see you next time with Unit 3 of rational expressions.